gonna play today. We're gonna play with a posture called half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. And if you're new to this pose, know that it is very, very tricky, very intense, and a lot is happening. So I'm gonna show it in a couple different planes and also give you some options. But essentially the hips are stacked and we're in this balance posture. But I don't want you to focus on the hips being stacked. I want you to focus on finding a spot where you feel really stable, really supported. So maybe the hips are just turned a little bit this way, so you're not arching or placing weight into the low back. So that's why I want to ask you to be very aware of your lumbar spine and see, where are you holding the load? Are you holding the load in your core muscles? Are you dumping the weight into your low back? So when I say where are you holding your load, like where are you holding the weight? So the weight of your body, the weight of gravity. And so if you feel like you're holding it in the low back in half moon or in any posture, try to adjust and find a spot where you can use your muscles instead of the joints. So that's what we're going to explore today a little bit. So chair, blocks, a wall will all be very, very helpful, but we'll kind of break it down and go through it a little bit. So when you are ready, go ahead and start wherever you want. If you want to start in your back, go for it. If you want to stay seated, if you want to take child pose, but we'll do a little bit of breath work, a little bit of mindfulness, and then we'll get into some asanas. So take some time, kind of check in, kind of see how you feel today. You can even start to scan the body from the toes all the way to the crown of the head. And just start to be aware, right? We don't have to judge. We don't have to, be like, why do I have tightness here? Why am I clenching? Just see if you can be aware of it and then maybe adjust. One of my favorite teachers, always talks about how, things are never perfect. Things are always changing. The only thing that's constant about life is that there's going to be changes. So can we adapt? Can we adjust through the changes, through the ups and the downs, the ebbs and the flow? So take some time to just see how you feel and see if you need to adjust. But kind of giving yourself some space to just be. Nowhere to go, nothing to do right now, but to be with this breath. And if it does feel right, you can always start to connect with the breath or even just start to witness the breath. Start to witness the rise and the fall. Maybe start to witness the breath coming in and out through the body. And if it does feel right, see if you can slow the breath down. Especially starting to slow the exhale down, starting to make the exhale a little longer than the inhale to kind of help slow the mind down. And then know the breath is always there for you. So as you start to move into the asanas, the postures, as you start to move into some Pilates work, know that you can always reconnect with the breath. So not only reconnect you with the present moment, but to maybe also help you adjust, to let go of any negative thoughts, to take time to reset. Connecting with the breath gives us the opportunity to reflect instead of react. A great example of this is, working with my toddlers, my two little kids, when they're in a stressful situation, to take a deep, slow inhale and exhale, to give them some space to reflect instead of react to the situation at hand. And this is a great tool to use, as an adult, as we get older. When you're in traffic, when you're taking an exam and things start to feel heated, take a couple cleansing breaths to help you reset. To help you kind of clear the fog, to clear the muck, and to see clearly. So today, if you would like, always an option to set a focal point or an intention for your practice. It could be very simple. It could be connecting with the breath, letting the focal point be the breath, or maybe to find a little more awareness today to help you adjust. Using that awareness to help you find rest, to maybe build a little heat, but ultimately using awareness to help you better yourself in that moment. So if you have a focal point and intention, you can set it now, maybe even hold it at the third eye, the space between your eyebrows. This is called your third eye chakra, Anya, and this is a place of your inner teacher or your intuition. So coming back to this place of inner wisdom at any point to maybe bring you back to the breath, to bring you back to the present moment, to help you reset. And then option to seal it in with a couple cleansing breaths. So if you would like, take a deep inhale in through the nose, filling up with your intention, whatever it may be. Find gratitude for it. And then open mouth exhale, share it off, let it go. Beautiful. Maybe one more deep inhale, fill the belly, the chest. If it feels right, hold the breath at the top, aware, fully present. And then open mouth exhale, let it go. And then you can let your breath come back to your rhythm, your pace, maybe in and out through the nose. And then you can stay where you're at, or remember, you can always come back to a place of rest at any point. When you are ready, slowly start to reawaken. Maybe wiggle the fingers, the toes, kind of roll the wrists, the ankles. If you're on your back, maybe a nice full body stretch. If you're seated, maybe kind of roll the head and the neck, but find any intuitive, organic movement. And then if you're not on your back, we'll go ahead and start there. So starting to make your way on to your spine. And then you can kind of bend the legs, maybe feet stay on the ground to start. And you kind of windshield wiper the legs, kind of sending the knees left and right. And right away, starting to kind of play with some rotation of the hips. Kind of, sending them left and right helps with some internal and external rotation. And remember, anytime we do movement, you don't have to go all the way. Maybe just slightly explore the movement. And then with each rep, you go a little bit more. And then go ahead, bring your feet back to center. Make sure your feet are about mat width distance, so a little bit wider than like hip width. And then arms can come off to the side, maybe like a T. And then let your legs fall to the left. Okay, so the legs are separated kind of from like a front view. Right, I'm on the outer left thigh, and kind of the inner thigh is facing the ground on the right side. So my left hip is rotating more externally, more abduction, while my right hip is rotating more internally in some adduction, okay? So this would be rotating at the hips and not so much the spine. Now, your right leg, internal rotation is kind of tricky. We don't do it a ton. So think about pressing the inside of your right foot down to the ground to maybe kind of help the right knee, the right inner thigh reach towards the earth. Kind of breathe into the right hip. If you want to add a little resistance, be kind here to the knee though. Maybe lift your left foot and place it to the outer right thigh. So it's just going to kind of help draw the knee down. But don't force it, right? Remember, the knee joint is a hinge joint. It only kind of opens and closes. You don't want to place pressure on it. So you don't have to place the foot there. Adjust, be kind. But kind of feel the hips rotating and not so much the spine, right? We'll explore twists later. But make sure the front ribs are in, not arching into the low back. And then gaze can be up. If you want to stretch out the neck, maybe turn the chin to the right. One more breath here. Soften for the exhale. Good, then take your time if you need to release your left foot, and then slowly come back up, and we'll take it to the other side. Knees will fall to the right, so the legs are separated. And then you can always stay here. Think about pressing the inner arch of your left foot to the ground, kind of activating your left leg. reaching the left knee, the inner thigh towards the earth. If it feels okay, right foot can lift and maybe place it to the outer left thigh. Now just kind of bring awareness to your low back. It's going to be off the ground, but try not to arch, right? Try not to kind of flare your front ribs to the ceiling. Keep holding your front ribs on the front body and keeping the low back really stable and supportive, and focus on rotating the hips. Gaze up or chin to the left. You might find some length in the outer left side. One more breath, big inhale. Soften for the exhale. And if you need to, release the right foot and then slowly bring the knees back to center. Awesome job. Maybe a full body stretch. If it feels good, you can even pull the knees to the chest. Kind of shell position, rock side to side. Give your low back some love. Good. Now, you can keep the right leg hugging in. Left leg can go long. Wind removing pose. Start to say hi to the hip flexors. Maybe compressing through the right side as you lengthen the front of the left hip. Maybe sway the knee, roll the right ankle. Shoulders are soft. And then slowly pull the left knee back to meet the right. Hug both knees in. And then we'll take it to the other side. Hug the left leg in, extend the right. Maybe sway the knee a little bit, roll the ankle. Good, and then gently draw the right leg back in. Big inhale, give your knees a squeeze. And then release, place your feet flat on the ground, but this time make sure they're about hip width distance. Okay, so kind of knees and ankles are stacked. Arms can relax off at the side, and then take some little pelvic tilts, little baby cat cows, gently rocking the pelvis forward and back. And remember, we're not going all the way, so try not to overextend and really push the front ribs to the ceiling. Try not to really jam your low back into the ground. Just find a little flexion and extension of the spine. Good, and then find neutral, okay? So we're not arching, we're not pressing the low back into the ground. Hopefully find a really supported position here. Okay, and then we're gonna start to come into some Pilates work, okay? Imprint, and then we'll start to move on from there. So imprint, remember bottom two ribs, pelvis, pull to the belly, finding a really strong center, like you're gonna brace yourself. Remember, if I was standing on top of you and I'm gonna drop an apple on your belly, you would brace in, okay? You're gonna contract your center, your core muscles to protect your organs, okay? So take a breath here, prepare, big inhale. And then as you exhale, imprint, bottom ribs, pelvis, pull to the belly. Take an inhale, hold that contraction nice and strong. And then exhale, release. Couple more, big inhale, breath. Exhale, imprint, hug it in. Hold, inhale. And then exhale, release. Inhale, prepare. Exhale, maybe blow out of a straw. Hold your imprint, big inhale. Exhale, release, two more, then we'll add on, big inhale. Exhale, imprint. Hold, big inhale. Exhale, release. Last one, inhale, breath. Exhale, imprint. Hold, take an inhale. And then exhale, release. Awesome job. Maybe sway the knees a little bit. Maybe knees to the chest. And then we're going to do some hip rolls. So keep your feet flat on the ground. Think of like rolling up and down into bridge position. So draw the heels down as you inhale, roll your glutes, low back, mid back off the ground. And then as you exhale, roll onto the mid back, low back onto the glutes. So just move with the breath here. Big inhale, roll yourself up. Try not to force it. And then exhale, roll yourself back down. Good, a couple more. Good, last one, big inhale. And then exhale, roll it back down. Good, awesome job. So we're gonna go through a whole Pilates series. We're gonna really start to kind of pick up the pace and build a little more heat. Remind yourself, take rest when needed, okay? So now moving into ab prep. So it's gonna be imprint as you lift the head and the shoulder blades off the ground and reach for the heels. Keep a little tuck of the chin, keep the back of the neck long. So here we go, inhale. As you exhale, reach. Hold here, big inhale, little tuck of the chin, and then exhale, release, come back down. Moving with the breath, inhale, exhale, reach, hold, take a breath, inhale, exhale, release, inhale, exhale, ab prep, hold, big inhale, exhale, lower, two more, inhale, exhale, reach, big inhale, exhale, lower, last one, inhale, exhale, reach, hold, maybe add hundreds reps. You're going to pump the arms, starting to warm up the shoulders. Little tuck of the chin. Keep the back of the neck long. Try not to kind of crunch. If you need to, head, shoulder blades can come back down. And then there are little tiny breaths here. So inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more round. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Big inhale, reach. Exhale, release. Woo! Awesome job. Maybe knees to the chest. Find shell position. Resets. If you like shoulder bridge, you can gently roll yourself up. Maybe take a breath or two there. Find some space in the front body. And then take it back down. Woo. All right, now we're going to put the two together. Start to lift the legs and then start to lift the head off the ground. So find imprint, bottom ribs, pelvis pulled to the belly, and then lift one leg, lift the other. Start to kind of find your dead bug position, okay? Flex or point the toes so the legs are active, and then make sure you're hugging the front ribs and the pelvis to belly. Strong core, low back is grounded, supported. Now maybe you stay here or take an inhale. As you exhale, lift and reach. Think of ab prep. And then we'll take 100 preps here. So pump the arms. I'm not going to lie, hundreds are not fun. So we're going to kind of take it step by step and maybe just do 20 to 50 reps. As many as you got. Pump the arms. And kind of think about pulling the pelvis and the front ribs to belly. Warm up the shoulders. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more round. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reach, big inhale. Good. Exhale, release. Feet to the ground. Sway the knees a little bit. Open and close the mouth. And then option for your shoulder bridge. Draw the heels down. Gently roll yourself up. Come onto the shoulder blades. Right? A lot of working the front body. So find the counter stretch. Kind of lengthen the front body. One more breath here. Big inhale. And then exhale, roll yourself back down. Good. All right. Now we're going to stretch out the hips and then we'll turn it a little more active. Okay? So extend the left leg. And then your right knee is bent and start to pull the knee to the chest, okay? Left hip is going to stay grounded. Maybe keep the left hand there to keep that action of pressing the left hip down. And you can always use the right hand to hold the right shin, but start to kind of draw circles with your right knee. Okay, so going as far to the right, as far to the left. You can always release the right hand to help you make the circles a little bit bigger. Just try not to arch the back. The back may lift, but try not to arch and flare the front ribs forward. And then take those circles the other way. So you're still holding your core muscles in slightly to keep the pelvis, the spine stable as you explore some circles with the right hip. Good. Now from here, hug the right knee in. Okay. We're going to take this into single leg stretch. So pointer flex the toes, right and left foot. And then from here, start to lift your left leg off the ground. Make sure you're in imprint. And then maybe forehead to the knee. Okay? Strong belly. Here we go. Take a breath. Big inhale. Exhale, switch. Exhale, switch. 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 So I like to think about kind of pulling my heart towards the top of the thigh. Little tuck of the chin. Back of the neck is long. Beautiful work. We got this. Last 4, 3, 2, 1. Pull both knees in. Big inhale, squeeze. Exhale, release. Awesome job. Feet to the ground, head to the mat. Maybe kind of sway the knees, open and close the mouth. And then find your counter stretch. Maybe shell position or option for shoulder bridge. Gently roll yourself up. Find some space in the front body. Try not to press the hips too high. Just start to lengthen the belly. Take an inhale. And then exhale, come back down. Woo. Other side, extend the right leg, maybe right hand to the right hip bone, keep it grounded, and then gently draw the left knee towards you. So it's going to be harder because the hand's not there, so if you need to, place the hand on the shin. And then start to draw some circles with the left knee. So in Pilates, they love circles. They love to draw circles, and they are not easy. So be kind here, take as many circles as you want. They can be small, medium, or big. Just keep the low back grounded. And then option to make the circles a little bit bigger. Or sorry, option to take the circles the other direction. Sorry, my brain is not there today. So just make sure to take circles both ways. One way might be a little harder, no worries. Good, beautiful work. Now draw the left knee into the chest. Okay, prepping for single leg stretch. Pointer flex the toes. Remember, if the feet start to cramp, maybe spread the toes, so kind of like a balance between flexion and extension of the foot. And then start to lift your right leg. Make sure an imprint, right? Low back is grounded, core is engaged. And then start to pull the forehead to the knee. This round, you can stay, maybe make it harder. Arms come to the side. Think of like 100 arms holding here. Find your reps. Take a breath. Inhale. Exhale, switch. Exhale, switch. So go at your own pace. A little tuck of the chin. Back of the neck is long. You can always place a Pilates ball or a blanket underneath the head. Or maybe head comes to the mat. Keep breathing. Think about pulling your heart, your chest to the thighs. Beautiful work. We're here for 5. Good. 4, 3, 2. Reach with those hands. 1. Pull both knees in. Big inhale. Give yourself a big squeeze. And then exhale, release. Good. We did it. Feet to the ground. Maybe sway the knees a little bit. And then once again, option for your shoulder bridge. Heels draw down. Inhale, gently roll yourself up. Armpits reach to the mat. Find some strength in the back body to help you open up the front body. Little lift of the chin. Back of the neck is long. Take a breath. And then as you exhale, roll yourself back down. Good. If you want shell position, maybe knees come to the chest. Good. So we have one more round, kind of taking that and then adding on a little bit. So remember, you can always stick with where we're at, okay? So feet are flat on the mat to start. Find imprint, and then lift one leg, lift the other. So maybe you hold here in dead bug. You can always place your palms on the thighs and squeeze your palms and thighs together. Or option to say hi to the hamstrings and start to extend your legs towards the ceiling. I personally flex the feet a little bit more because my feet will cramp, but you can always point the toes. Find what you need here. And then remember, you can bend the knees. That might kind of help soften the hamstrings a little bit so the low back can be grounded. Little tuck of the chin, back of the neck is long. Strong belly. Now, you could stay here and just hold, okay? Or start to lift the head of the neck. Hands can grab for the right leg. We're going to do some scissors. Start to lower the left, okay? Forehead is going to reach to the thigh, the knee. Soft shoulders. Here we go. Take a breath. Inhale. Exhale, switch. Exhale, switch. So if the legs being straight is too much on the hamstrings and it's pulling from the low back, come back to single leg stretch and bend the legs. Okay? Think about pulling your heart towards the top of the thigh, towards the knee, kind of lifting up. Beautiful work. Shoulders are soft, little tuck of the chin. Here we go. Last 4, 3, 2. Last one, both legs can reach to the ceiling. Reach your heart towards the knees. Big inhale. And then exhale, release. Good work. Feet to the ground. Maybe sway the knees a little bit. Open and close the mouth. Whew. And then if you like your shoulder bridge as a counter stretch, heels draw down. Roll yourself up. Come on to the shoulder blades. Little tuck of the chin. Find some space in the front. Stretch it out. And then exhale, release. Come back down. Good. All right. Last one, and then we are going to get off our backs and start to stretch it out a little bit, okay? So, extend the left leg. Right knee pulls in. This time, option to straighten the right leg. Flex or point the toes. Left hand can come to the hip or coming back to the circles, but now option to keep the right leg straight or maybe bend it, okay? Straight is going to be a little bit harder. And then you can start to draw some circles with the right big toe. And try to keep the pelvis stable, right? We're working on some rotation of the right hip without, pulling from the low back. And these are not easy. Remember, circles are not fun, at least for me. And then once you come back to the top, switch directions, take the circles the other way. And your core muscles should definitely be working. That's going to help stabilize the pelvis and the low back here. Ah. Good. Last one, last circle. Good, and then when you're ready, release. Right knee can pull to the chest, left knee can meet it. Rock it out a little bit. Beautiful work. Now other side. Extend your right leg. And then remember, left leg can be bent or maybe start to straighten through the left leg. Pointer flex the toes. Right hand can stand the hip to keep the right hip grounded. And then option to explore your circles. Small, medium, big. Find your circle. And usually the slower the better. Okay, I don't want you to blow through these circles, right? Really being aware of the movement the hip is doing. Focusing on the hip joint, moving and not the low back. Make sure you're breathing. Strong belly here. And then once you reach the top, take your circles the other direction. Woo. Remember, try not to judge, try not to compare. This is a practice. We're not here to perfect. Last two. Ugh, my core muscles hurt so bad. Last one, once you reach the top, start to release, bend the left leg, your right knee can meet it. Awesome work. Beautiful Pilates series, great job, shake it out. And once you're ready, you can roll to a side. We'll meet in tabletop position. Gently press yourself up and let's kind of stretch it out a little bit, reset. So you can be on the hands or the forearms and take a little cat-cows. So as you inhale, gently rock the pelvis forward, start to lift the heart, find some space in the front. And then exhale, maybe a little cat back, press the ground away, chin can come towards the chest, breathe into the back. So you got about 5 rounds of breath here. Kind of move at your own pace. You can always add on, maybe kind of circle or sway, see what feels best here. You can even close the eyes, kind of keeping the awareness inward, focusing on how things feel and not so much how it looks. Good. And then find your neutral position. Okay, so the spine is in neutral, pelvis is not dropping to the ground or pressing to the ceiling. Hold your front ribs on the front body. Shoulders are over the wrists. And then think about your shoulder blades, your scapulas. Try to keep them flat on the back body. So we're not kind of in protraction or retraction. Nice and stable shoulder blades. You might want to think about lifting from the armpits a little bit to keep those blades on the back. Gaze is straight down. Back of the neck is long. And we're going to kind of focus on now twisting at the ribs. So we've done some hip rotation. Now let's move up to the thoracic spine and focus on the ribs, your T-spine moving. So from tabletop position, right hand can come behind the head. And we're just going to kind of twist right and left. So press into the left palm as you inhale. Turn your ribs right. Maybe lift from the right elbow. And then exhale, twist. Elbow can reach to the left. Feel the ribs rotating to the left side. So just moving side to side. Inhale, lift, open up. Exhale, twist. And kind of use that awareness. Inhale, lift to feel the ribs, your spine rotating. And the hips are going to stay pointing towards the front in that neutral position. One more. Exhale, twist. And then option for thread the needle, right arm to the side, maybe reach to the ceiling, big inhale. And then exhale, right arm can slide underneath. Right side of your face can come to a pillow, a block, or maybe the ground. But think about pressing the back of the right arm down, gently lift the heart. Now I'm going to give you an option today with the left leg. So kind of think of like half wide-legged forward fold. So you can take your left leg off to the side. So your left leg is extended long. Maybe find a little stretch for the left inner thigh. If it doesn't feel right, come back to that tabletop position. Left arm can always reach to the ceiling. Maybe explore a half bind, reach behind you, reaching for the right hip. Making sure the weight's not in the neck. One more breath. Stay for the exhale. Good. And then left hand can come back down. Press into the left palm. Inhale, right arm to the side, maybe reach to the ceiling. And then exhale, release, coming back to tabletop. Pull the left knee back underneath the hip. Good. So find your neutral position and then same thing other side. So left hand will come behind the head. Hips are going to stay pointed forward, squared. And then press into the right palm as you inhale, gently lift, turn the ribs left. Exhale, twist. Elbow can reach to the right. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, twist. So a couple more at your own pace. And feel your ribs, your spine twisting and rotating and not the hips or the low back. Your low back doesn't really rotate. So focus on the mid-spine doing the rotation. Last one. And then option for thread the needle. Left arm to the side, maybe reach to the ceiling, big inhale. And then exhale, left arm underneath. Gently rolling to the left side. Find a spot that feels good. Maybe slide a pillow underneath the head. And then focus on pressing the back of the left arm down. Maybe you take your right leg, kick it off to the right side, coming kind of to the inside of the left. That would be my right foot, inside of the right foot. Kind of breathing into the right inner thigh. Maybe play with the right arm, right fingertips high, or reach to the left hip. But find a spot that feels good. Don't always have to do what I'm doing. Honor your body today. One more breath. Big inhale. Stay for the exhale. Good, and then right hand can come down to the ground. Press into the right palm. Big inhale, maybe left arm to the side or overhead. And then exhale, release back to tabletop. Right leg can come underneath. Good, awesome job. Now, your choice, option for child's pose or downward dog. For down dog, hands can come forward, slightly in front of the shoulders. Tuck the toes, send the hips nice and high. Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then feel free to pedal the legs. Maybe bend one knee, then the other. Kind of sway the hips. Shake the head yes, shake it no. Remember, gravity, your body is pulling you down to the hands. So gently spread the fingers, grip down to lift up. If you feel like there's too much blood rushing to the head, maybe use your blocks or the seat of your chair, right? So the head is not all the way to the ground. But find a spot that feels good, creating some length in the back body. Remember that bend in the knees will kind of give your pelvis some space to maybe rock forward to keep the length in the low back. One more breath here. Soften with the exhale. And then take your time. Walk your hands and your feet together, finding ragdoll. Nice relaxed forward fold. Bend the knees. Maybe cross the arms at elbows. If you like a chest expansion grip, you can interlace the fingers behind you. But shake the head yes, shake it no. Let all the stress, maybe some tension kind of melt off the body here. Now we've been upside down for a while, so give yourself time, your blood pressure to reset. So relax the arms, slowly roll up. Head, arms nice and heavy. Good. And once you reach the top, kind of take some shoulder shrugs. Go one way, go the other, maybe roll the head and the neck. Good. And then make your way to the top of your space, top of your mat. And we're going to kind of do some kind of like sun A-B combos today. So kind of take our sun salutations and add a little bit of lunges today, kind of like a moon salute. So meeting into Tadasana mountain pose. So feet, ankles right underneath your inner hips. If you want to, maybe kind of rock forward and back, start to even out the weight between the front of the foot, the back of the foot. And then ground down, but find a little lift from the inner arch. And then bring your awareness to the pelvis. Try to keep the water in the bowl. And then maybe soften the shoulders a little bit. Crown of the head lifts. So feel really grounded. Feel the earth underneath you, grounding you. Feel rooted, but find strength from within to gently lift up, right? Gravity is pulling you down. Find strength from within to rise up. Take a breath, big inhale. Maybe a big open mouth exhale. Good. Inhale, extended Tadasana. Arms can reach forward. Maybe you start to reach overhead. Listen to the shoulders, the low back. Big inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Bend the knees. Hands can come through the heart. Then make your way all the way down to the ground. And then right away, inhale, halfway lift. Palms to shins, blocks, or the chair. And then hug your front ribs in. Gaze to the toes. So this is an active position. Core is working to keep the spine in neutral. Now take a breath, inhale. As you exhale, low lunge, left foot will step back. So frame out the right foot with your blocks or hands to the ground and find a low lunge position. Feet are hip width distance. And then from here, you can stay with the back knee lifted or come onto the left knee. Inhale, kneeling lunge, Anjaneyasana. Ground down, rise up. Pull your feet towards center. So right heel is reaching back, left knee, hip is reaching forward to help you square the hips. Breathing into the front of the left, the hip flexors, and then maybe soften the shoulders just a little bit. Find that focal point out in front of you. Good. Take a breath, big inhale. And then as you exhale, half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana. So hands can come to the ground or your blocks. Straighten through the left leg, so maybe the hips slide back, and then slide your right heel forward. Keep a bend in the right knee as much as you need to. But think about reaching the right heel back as you draw your left knee forward. So pulling the feet towards the center line. Shoulders are soft away from the ears. And find some space in the back of the right leg and into your low back. As you inhale, heart reaches forward. As you exhale, maybe fold, bend at the elbows. One more breath. Exhale, fold. Good. Now as you inhale, come back forward into your lunge. So a little tricky transition. Plant the right foot, lift or tuck the back toes, and then as you inhale, lift the left knee. Maybe high lunge this time. Crescent, reaching the arms overhead. So a little more active than kneeling lunge. Think about lifting from your left inner thigh, the back inner thigh, and then pull your feet to center. Feel yourself stabilize. Focal point out in front of you. Good. Now we're going to transition to forward fold. So take a breath, big inhale. As you exhale, hands to the ground or your blocks, and then step your left foot to meet the right. Shake it out. Inhale, halfway lift, coming back to neutral. Exhale, fold. Now chair pose, inhale, Utkatasana. Bend the knees, sit the hips back. Hands can reach forward, or maybe hands to heart, your choice. Start to bring awareness to your feet. Think about the inner arches reaching down, and then draw your feet away. Inner thighs are squeezing in. Front ribs, hug them in, right? If you need to, maybe scoop the pelvis underneath. You find length and support in the low back. Now take an inhale. Maybe sit a little lower as you exhale. Good. Last inhale breath. Exhale, press to stand. Hands to heart, Samasthiti. So standing at attention, Tadasana, mountain pose. Good. Reset, check in. Soften, let it go. Good. Other side, same thing. Inhale, rise, extended Tadasana. Ground down, rise up. And then exhale, forward fold. Keep a bend in the knees. Nice flat back, taking it down. Inhale, halfway lift. Neutral spine. And then this time, right foot will step back. Low lunge position. Framing out your left foot. If you need to, walk your left foot over to the left side, feet are hip width. And then you can stay here or come onto the right knee. Inhale, kneeling lunge, Anjaneyasana. Hands can always come to the hips. But kind of focusing on the right front of the hip here, those hip flexors, the quad. And then pull your feet to center to help you square the hips forward. Little tricky balance posture. Find a focal point out in front of you. Good. Front ribs. Hold them on the front body. One more big inhale. And then exhale, half splits. Hands to the ground or your blocks. Kind of send the hips back so you can straighten through the left leg. Slide the heel forward and then flex your toes. So my hips are on top of the back knee. Don't be afraid to use blocks. If you don't have blocks, bend your left knee so the hands can be on the ground. And then wherever you're at, reach your left hip straight back. Soften the shoulders. Gaze can go down. And then as you inhale, find the length. As you exhale, maybe you fold. Okay, one more big inhale. Gently fold as you exhale. Good, now we're going to transition to high lunge or crescent pose. So start to bend back into the left leg, plant your foot. If you need to, tuck the back toes. And then as you inhale, rise up, lift the right knee, reach the arms overhead. So make sure your feet are hip width, right? You want to find that foundation, your support here. So if you need to, widen the stance. And just like kneeling lunge, pull your feet towards center, squaring the hips. Find that focal point, so strong. Lift from your right inner thigh. And then we're going to transition to forward fold. So take an inhale. As you exhale, hands to the ground, to your blocks. Right foot steps to the left. Reset. Awesome work. Inhale, halfway lift. Spine to neutral. Engage your core. Exhale, fold. Back to your chair pose. Not for long. Inhale, Utkatasana. Bend the knees. Hips sit back. And hands reach forward. Beautiful work. Front ribs in. Pelvis underneath you. Last inhale, and then exhale, press to stand, straighten the legs, hands to heart, Samasthiti. Maybe thumbs connect with the heart, feel the heart rate. Maybe you can slow the breath down, right? Might be in a little sympathetic state here, a little stress, that's okay, that's what movement does. But see if you can take yourself out of it. Big inhale, slow exhale. So we're going to turn that into a nice moving meditation, right? Kind of moving one breath, one movement. This is called like a vinyasa. Warming up the body a little bit more, and then we'll slow it down. But remind yourself, go at your own pace, your own speed. We'll all meet back right here once we're done. Okay? And it doesn't have to be perfect. So here we go. Inhale, rise, extended Tadasana. Arms reach to the ceiling. Exhale, forward fold, bow to your body. Inhale, halfway lift, find space, lift the heart. Exhale, left foot steps back, low lunge. Come onto the left knee. Inhale, Anjaneyasana, kneeling lunge. Arms can circle overhead. Big inhale. Exhale, half splits. Hands to blocks or to the ground. Straighten through the right leg. Holding here for a breath. Take an inhale, lengthen. Exhale, maybe you fold, bend at the elbows. Now take your time. Inhale, crescent. Bend your right leg. Tuck the back toes. Lift the left knee. Rise up. Big inhale, crescent, high lunge. Exhale, forward fold. Hands to the ground. Left foot meets the right. Halfway lift. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold, release. Chair pose, inhale, Utkatasana. And then exhale, hands to heart, press to stand, Samasthiti. Good, take an inhale. And let it go as you exhale. One more time, other side. Inhale, rise, extended Tadasana. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana, bow. Inhale, halfway lift, find space. Right foot steps back, low lunge, frame out your left foot. Come onto the right knee, inhale, Anjaneyasana, rise up. And then exhale, half splits, hands to the blocks, to the ground, straighten through the left leg. Holding here for a breath, take an inhale, lengthen, exhale, fold. Now take your time, crescent, bend into the left leg, lift the right knee, rise up, big inhale, high lunge, crescent pose. And then exhale, forward fold. Hands to the ground, your blocks, right foot meets the left. Right away, halfway lift, engage your core. Inhale, exhale, fold. Last chair pose. Inhale, Utkatasana. Sit the hips back, arms reach forward. Exhale, press to stand, Samasthiti. Woo! Big inhale. Let it go with your exhale. Good, one more. Slow and steady release. Good, awesome work. All right, we're gonna kind of slow it down a little bit and start to prep for a half moon. So inhale, rise up, extended Tadasana. And then exhale, forward fold, release. Good, inhale, halfway lift. And then from here, exhale, downward dog. So plant your palms, walk the feet back. Hold here for a breath. Gonna find some space in the back. Reset here, shake the head yes, shake it no. And then when you're ready, option for child's pose. Big toes to touch, knees can go wide, send the hips back. Maybe place a blanket or a pillow underneath the hips to find support. Forehead can come to the ground, but you don't have to smush your face into the mat. So just find a spot where you can still breathe. Maybe a block underneath the forehead as well. Relax the shoulders, soften the face, the jaw. And kind of coming back to the breath, right? Feeling this kind of rise as you inhale in the back body. Finding this relaxation with the exhale, softening into it. One more. Good, beautiful work. And then take your time, slowly coming to tabletop position. Okay. Now, I'm going to turn the other way so I can kind of face you all. But if you have blocks or the seat of a chair, this will be very helpful because we're going to bring the right leg through. So we've been working on stepping back. Now we're going to switch it up and step forward, okay? And it's hard because we need space. So don't be afraid to use blocks, or you can always lift a hand to bring your foot through, okay? So we're going to bring the right foot forward. So don't be afraid to use those blocks and then start to draw the right leg to the top of the mat. So right back to that kneeling lunge position. But then this time, walk your hands to the left, and you're going to pivot on the left knee to turn your toes to the back wall. So my left toes are pointing to the green wall behind me, okay? So kind of from a side angle, right toes are pointed forward, left toes are pointing behind me, and my hips are kind of opening up to the left side where my hands are where the blocks are. Now this is warrior two legs, kneeling warrior two. Right knee is kind of in line with the left knee, and you could stay here and still do everything I say, or option two, find warrior two, arms and lift up. So shoulders on top of the hips, okay? Hands can reach forward. If the shoulders are kind of sore, kind of tired, maybe palms face up. But think about squeezing your left glute, reaching your left hip bone forward, right? Activating through the backside to maybe lengthen the front of the left. Now, the right inner thigh is going to reach towards the ceiling to help you rotate your right hip. Hands can even stay at the heart if you want to give the shoulders a break. And if being on the knee doesn't feel good, you can always find regular warrior two. Just a little different here. Take a breath. Front ribs are holding on to the front body. Soften with the exhale. Good. Let's take one more big inhale. And then exhale, side angle. So right forearm can come to the right thigh, and then your left arm can reach to the ceiling. So we're going to try to lengthen through this left side body as we keep opening up the right hip. Try to, maybe release a little bit of tightness in the left shoulder. Soften it away from the ear. But then think about lifting up from the left hip. Front ribs in. If you want, you could always take a block to the right inner foot and maybe kind of go a little bit further into the right hip. Keep breathing here. Big inhale. Stay for the exhale. Good, and then slowly making your way back to warrior two. Arms can reach forward and back. Last inhale breath here. And then as you exhale, release, hands back to the ground. Maybe use those blocks, and then we're just going to pivot back to the front. Nothing, not a fun transition out of here. And then from here, low lunge position, option to lift the left knee, and then we're going to add the twist. So grounded twist, right hand to your hip. Right hip is going to reach back. Take an inhale, gently lift the heart, and then turn your ribs to the right. Okay, right, like we did in thread the needle, feel the ribs rotating, not the hips. Right hip is reaching back. Now we shorten the stance, widen the stance, find a sturdy base, lifting from your back inner thigh. Okay, maybe gaze down to the side, maybe it feels good in the neck, you can always look up. Right hand can reach up as well, grounded twist. Good, one more breath here, big inhale. And then as you exhale, release, coming back to tabletop, or maybe it feels good to step back, downward dog. Reset here, awesome work. Big inhale. Let it go with your exhale. Good. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So option to come into tabletop. Maybe use your blocks. And then your left leg is going to set forward. Kind of coming to the left thumb area. And then we'll set up for a kneeling warrior two. So walk your hands to the right. You're going to pivot on the right knee. So your right toes are pointing to the wall behind you. Okay, so kind of left heel and right knee are in line. My hips are kind of opening up to the right side. And then you could always stay here, or maybe start to come up into warrior two arms. So shoulders over the hips. Kind of squeeze your right glute. So the right hip can gently kind of activate, reaching forward, trying to help you lengthen the front. So usually when we work the back, we're opening up the front, or when we work the front, we're opening up the back. Those muscles kind of working like a pulley system. And then you're going to lift from the left inner thigh, finding some space in the inner thigh muscle, your adductor muscles. Remember, palms can always face up, or hands can stay at the heart. But hold the front ribs in, and then ground down, but rise up through the crown of the head. Take a breath. Stay for the exhale. Good, last inhale, and then from here, side angle. Left forearm can come to the thigh, and then right arm can reach up and overhead. If there's too much on the shoulder, you can always keep your right hand on the hip, but keep the front ribs in and find a little lift of the heart. Finding maybe space through the right side body. If you want to play with the left hip, left hand can always come to the ground on the inside of the foot, or maybe even to a block. That's going to intensify the stretch in the hip and the inner thigh. But find what feels best here. Side angle pose, very intense. So breathe into the left hip. Big inhale. Stay for the exhale. Now use your inhale breath to come back up, warrior two. And then exhale, release. Hands to the ground. You're going to pivot back to the top, finding low lunge. You can tuck the back toes, lift the right knee, and then set up for grounded twist. So right hand can stay maybe on the ground or a block. Left hand to your left hip. Take an inhale, find space. And then as you exhale, turn your ribs to the left, grounded twist. So right leg is really strong. Think about lifting from the inner thigh. And then left hip is reaching back without losing the lunge in your left knee. And gently just draw the ribs left. You don't have to go far here. Maybe finding a little space on the outer left hip. Gaze can go wherever it feels best. Maybe left hand goes high. Make sure you're breathing. One more big inhale. And then as you exhale, release. Maybe step back to tabletop. Maybe Adho Mukha, down dog, reset. Shake it up. Good. Take an inhale. Slow exhale. And then option for child's pose. Big toes to touch. Knees can go wide. Send the hips back. If you want to play with the arms a little bit, option for a chest expansion grip. You could interlace the hands behind you and gently send the knuckles to the ceiling and breathing into the front. If you want to play with maybe the triceps and the shoulders, you could find reverse prayer. So arms will be out in front of you. Bring your hands to a prayer position and start to bend the elbows. Bring the thumbs to the back of the neck. But find a spot where you can reset. Coming back here, reconnecting with the inhales and the exhales. Using that awareness to maybe adjust to help you let go of anything that's holding you back. Tightness, tension, thoughts. And trust me, it's way easier said than done. So give yourself some grace through the process. Big inhale, back body rises. Slow exhale, soften into that space. Good. And then take your time, back to tabletop. So I'm going to show you kneeling half moon, and then you'll kind of see, we'll do regular half moon as the weeks progress, but know that you can always take kneeling half moon. If you'd rather take regular half moon and you know it, go for it, but find one that feels best. Kneeling half moon can be a little more supportive, but if it doesn't feel good to be on the knees, you can always do it off the knees too, okay? So it's a little bit different though. From tabletop position, you're going to extend, let's do the left side first. So extend your left leg long. So toes can stay on the ground, so to drive the left heel away. Hands are strong, really press firmly through the palms. And then just like you did in your kneeling warrior 2, your right toes are going to kick to the wall behind you. So I'm going to take kneeling side plank. I'm going to roll to the inside of my that's my left foot, inside of my left foot. And then I'm going to pivot on the back knee, my right knee, so my toes are pointed to the wall behind me. Now my right hand, I want you to walk it slightly forward in front of the right shoulder, okay? So this will give you a little more leverage to push the right hand down. And then left hand can always stay, maybe left hand to hip. Think about your front ribs pulling in. Maybe left hand goes high, so kneeling side plank. Now just like down dog, right, your weight is kind of pushing down to the right hand. So see if you can use your core muscles, right, really strong center, hold your weight here. So it's kind of like you're lifting the right hand off the ground and your core muscles are holding you. Not easy to do, right? Your right hand can even come to a block if that feels a little bit better too. Now this is the same setup for half moon, right? The hips are, kind of stacked, core is engaged. So if you want to play with kneeling half moon, you might have to walk your right hand slightly forward, kind of shifting the weight forward, and then lift your left leg. Woo! Say hi to the hip here. Flex your toes, front ribs in, kind of coming back to a little Pilates work here. If you want to add Pilates, maybe pulse the right leg. So activating the outer hip to help you with this rotation. Say hi to your glutes. Kneeling half moon, lifting up for 3. Awesome work, last 2. Last 1, take an inhale, lift, and then exhale, release back to tabletop. Beautiful work. Maybe kind of sway, wag your tail, take some circles, open and close the mouth. Good, all right, we're gonna do the same thing other side. So you can stay where you're at to adjust. So find tabletop. This time, right leg will go long. Start to reach the right heel away. Find a calf stretch. Press through the palms. And then from here, we'll take it into kneeling side plank. So I'm going to come to the inside of my right foot as I pivot my left toes to the green wall behind me. Okay. Left hand, left knee, and kind of right foot are all in a line. Maybe you walk your left hand slightly forward so it's in front of the shoulder so you can kind of find a little more leverage. And then maybe right hand to hip or right hand high. So kneeling side plank. And same thing, see if you can really activate your core, right? And not placing all the weight into the left hand. Always place a block underneath the left hand as well. Now, this is the same setup as half moon. You're just a little more supportive with your right foot on the ground. So no judgment here. If you want to explore a little more heat, right hand, sorry, that's my left hand. Left and rights are hard today. Left hand's gonna reach forward, start to shift the weight a little forward, and then maybe lift your right foot. My right toes are flexed, pointed towards the right side. And then if you want to, maybe add a little pulse. Pulse, pulse, pulse. Good. Breathing into the abductors, the outer thigh muscles, into the glutes. Front ribs are on the front body. Right hand to hip or high. Good. We're here for 3, 2. Last one, hold. Big inhale, kneeling half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. And then exhale, release. Woo, we did it. Awesome work. Back to tabletop. Sway the hips a little bit. Maybe take some circles. Open and close the mouth. Good. And then we'll stretch out the hips, but before, option 2, say hi to the shoulders one more time. So from tabletop position, heart melting pose, gently walk the hands forward and start to lower the heart, the forehead towards the ground. So Anahata Asana or puppy dog pose. But check in with the front ribs, right? I want you to flare and kick your tailbone to the ceiling. Hold the front ribs in, maybe a little lift from your inner arms. You don't want to go, too deep in the shoulders. So keep the shoulders really strong as you create a little space. One more breath. Soften with the exhale. Good. And then slide onto the forearms. You're going to lower onto the belly. So kind of last back bend here, Sphinx pose. Elbows are underneath the shoulders. And kind of see if you're flaring your front ribs too much and kind of spilling your guts forward. I want you to keep your guts inward. So kind of hold those front ribs on the front body. Kind of just draw the elbows back. Maybe you want to look left and right. Stretch out the neck, take some half circles. One more time, creating a little space in the front body. Good. One more breath here, big inhale. And then as you exhale, lower down to the chest. Palms can come underneath the shoulders and then tuck the toes under. Option to take this into child pose. So pressing up or maybe down dog, hips high. So I'm going to talk you through pigeon pose. A variation of pigeon is figure 4, but I'm also going to show you kind of like a physical therapist stretch would be a 90-90 position. So let's kind of go through this. So for pigeon pose, you can bring your right knee to the right wrist. I'm going to face roll this way so you can kind of see this, right? Right knee to right wrist. And then I'm going to take my right ankle and just kind of slide it to the middle. Okay, it doesn't have to come parallel with the top of your mat, but I just want you sitting on your right heel. Okay, so right ankle can kind of kick to the middle of the mat or over to the left side. Now for pigeon pose, you can start to slide your left leg long. Toes can point to the wall behind you. Maybe you gaze past the right shoulder, right? Breathe into your right glutes, breathe into the right hip. Now you can stay lifted. This is more of a back bend. You might find some space in the front of the left hip, but keep the front ribs in. Or if you like to sleep your pigeon, you can come all the way down to the ground. Now, very similar to what we did in the beginning of class, we're going to kind of play with internal and external rotation of the hip. So if you like pigeon or figure 4, you can stay. If you want to mess with a 90-90 position, from pigeon pose, kind of roll to the right hip, and then I'm going to take my left knee and I'm going to slide it forward. Okay? So in yoga, this is kind of called deer pose. So the legs are kind of bent at 45 degrees. But if you want to take it a little bit further, you want to think about creating a 90-degree angle in the right knee and the left knee. So maybe you kind of walk your right shin forward. Maybe kind of bring your left ankle underneath the left knee. So I'm kind of in this 90-90 position. Now this can be challenging, okay? So you can always take blocks or pillows, maybe place them underneath the knees, left or right, okay? We'll give you a little more support. So my right hip is rotating external, left hip internal. You might be kind of sliding this way. So try to hold your weight to center. and then maybe you gently fold. So this might be a little kinder on the knees, but you're also, exploring some rotation on the right and left side. And energetically, think about reaching your right hip crease back, breathing into the right side, and try not to flare the front ribs. So maybe 5 to 8 more rounds of breath. Figure 4, pigeon pose, or 90-90, your choice. Whatever's going to help you let go of some tightness or maybe some tension. And kind of a good rule of thumb is to only go maybe 30% of the way. And with each breath, especially with each exhale, maybe you soften a little more and then maybe move into that space you are creating. As we slow it down, see if you are holding on to anything. And if you are, that's okay. Be aware. But see if you can come right back to any sensations that are happening in the body, right back to, this moment, this breath. Kind of training the mind to be a little more present and not to live so much in the past or the future. Take an inhale, soften with the exhale. Good. And then take your time, slowly come out of it. If you're in 90-90, you can kind of swing the left leg forward, maybe shake out the legs. If you're in pigeon pose or figure 4, you can come back to down dog or come back onto your back. But then we have to do this other side, okay? So if you want to stay on your back for figure 4, or maybe come back to pigeon, starting from down dog. So for pigeon pose, bring your left knee to the left wrist. Ankle will kind of kick to the right. So you don't want to be sitting on the heel. And then slide your right leg long. Toes can point to the back. And 2, pigeon, you could stay here. Maybe you want to grab a blanket or something. Place it underneath the left hip. Just giving you a little more space, a little more support. All right, you could always fold, sleep your pigeon coming down to the ground. Or option 4, 90-90 or deer pose. So you're going to roll to the left hip, and then I'm going to slide my right knee forward. So I'm kind of in this deer position where I'm sitting with my legs kind of open, left hip rotating external, right hip is internal. Okay, so maybe stay more at a 45 degree, or you can play a little bit and find 90, or maybe find anything in between. So I'm going to bring my left shin forward, maybe slide my right ankle in line with the knee. And my left side is very tricky. My right hip also doesn't like to rotate internally, so I feel like I'm just leaning to the left. Okay, so be kind here. Maybe place a block underneath the knees. And then your choice, stay here, or maybe kind of fold forward. And that's going to intensify the stretch on the left side. But wherever you're at, right? Kind of open up some tightness or release some tightness in one area of the body. See if you send it to another area. So soften the fingers, the face, the jaw, the shoulders. And the hips are tricky. So know that you don't have to force yourself through it. Stay for as long as you want. But if something comes up and you're not ready to kind of go through it or deal with it, you can always come out. With each exhale breath, maybe you can let go or soften a little bit more. Remind yourself there's no end goal here. There's no certain way you have to look, but maybe you can focus more on letting go of some tightness in the left hip. Last 2 rounds of breath. And then take your time. Whenever you're ready, you can slowly come out. If you're on your back, you can stay there. We'll meet you there. But if you're in pigeon pose, maybe a down dog to release. If you're 90-90, maybe kind of slide the right leg forward, kind of shake it out, get some blood flow back through the hips. Beautiful work. And then grab anything you need, but make your way onto your backs. Beautiful work. Once you're on your back, Kind of just slowing it down here even more. Maybe knees come to the chest, kind of rock a little bit. If you like happy baby, you can stamp your feet onto the ceiling, maybe grab for the back of the thighs. If you are in happy baby, try not to lift your tailbone off the ground. Think about pressing your tailbone down to the earth. And then find a little lift from the heels. Think of like a squat position on your back. You can make your baby as happy as you want, right? We've done a lot of hip work, so maybe it feels good to rock or maybe straighten a leg. Have some fun with it. And then we'll find a final twist. So you can go ahead and place your feet on the ground. Feet can stay together, or maybe you want to cross the right leg on top of the left. Arms can come off to the side, and then your knees are going to fall left. Hips are going to draw to the right. So we're now focusing, on twisting at the spine, your T-spine, the mid. So hips are stacked, not so much the knees. Maybe you want to lift your left shoulder to make room for the right. Gaze can be up, maybe chin falls to the right side. And the knees, the shoulder do not have to touch the ground. Maybe start to close the eyes, let gravity gently help you twist, rotate the spine. Okay, one more big inhale. Maybe twist with the exhale. And then take your time, slowly unwind. Same thing other side, maybe legs together. Maybe you cross the left leg on top of the right, but knees will fall to the right. Maybe adjust your hips to the left. Hips are stacked, not so much the knees. Remember, the knees, shoulder do not have to be grounded. I don't want you to force it. I want you to just find a spot where you can lengthen through the left side. But maybe lift the right shoulder a little bit, making room for the left. Front ribs are in, gaze up, or chin can fall to the left side. Don't be afraid to wiggle. Right? Find a spot that feels good. And then take one more big inhale. Maybe gently twist with the exhale. Good. And then come back to center. And then take about 5 rounds of breath to close out your practice. Maybe a final inversion, legs up the wall. You can even kind of roll the ankles, spread the toes, shake it out a little bit. But if there's anything else you need, any final movements, any postures, any poses to help you find stillness, go for it. But when you are ready, Shavasana, corpse pose, is there waiting for you. So you can always curl into a ball, maybe give yourself a big hug, a big squeeze. But Shavasana is what matters, right? Taking time out of our busy day to just be. So find a spot where you can relax. Maybe find that star position, laying on your back. You can always place blocks underneath the knees. Maybe place a little pillow or a little blanket behind the head. And if laying on your back doesn't feel right, know that you can always take child's pose, take a seat, whatever you need. But we just work the body, we just work the mind for the last 60 minutes. So we could take time to find rest. So see if you can soften, relax from the toes all the way up to the crown of the head. Feeling the ground underneath you, feeling supported. And then maybe for the next 3 minutes, you hang out with the breath. Just connecting with the rise and the fall. Or maybe you would like to count the breath to kind of help train the mind to be present. And there's no goal here. So if you would like, you could inhale, say to yourself mentally 1. As you exhale, kind of soften. Inhale 2, exhale, soften, and up to 3, 4, maybe all the way up to 10. And if you don't make it to 10, that's okay, right? It just helps you to be a little more aware of when the mind does wander off. So when that happens, find grace for yourself and start right back at 1. ultimately take the next few moments to take rest, both physically and mentally, finding some well-deserved stillness. If you've lost the breath, the count, be kind to yourself. Bring it right back. No judgments. And then option to stick with the count, option to stick with the breath, or give the mind permission to wander, to think. Let the mind do whatever it wants to do. And then if you have some extra time, you're more than welcome to stay. Please honor your meditation practice, your Shavasana, for as long as you would like. But when you are ready, start to slowly reawaken. Start to deepen the breath. Start to feel the ground underneath you. Bring yourself back into your physical space. And then you can find movement, wiggle the fingers, the toes. Maybe make the movements a little bigger, a full body stretch, knees to chest, whatever feels right. And then you can stay where you're at. Maybe you move to a favorite side for fetal pose, using the bottom arm as a pillow. Shavasana represents the end, kind of like the end of a sentence, whereas fetal pose represents a rebirth or a reawakening. So maybe taking anything you cultivated here on your mat with you into this next breath. But when you're ready, you can gently press up to a seat, finding Sukhasana, meditation seat, cross the ankles, sit on the shins. We won't be here too long. Eyes can be open or closed. Hands can rest on the thighs. Maybe hands come to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Finding some gratitude for showing up today, for taking time out of your busy day to come inward. And then we'll seal our practice with the final round of breath. So if you would like, take a deep inhale in through the nose, biggest breath yet. And then open mouth, exhale, let it go. And I thank each and every one of you for showing up. I thank the beautiful practice of yoga and Pilates and all of my teachers, known and unknown. And from my heart to yours, with so much gratitude, I bow. Thank you, thank you.